Continue with this. Now we are passing so one set of input parameters S1 star and S2 star. The moment I am passing S1 star and S2 star to the first fired rule, so I will be getting one mu here, I will be getting another mu here. But here I have put one AND operator. So we compare these two mu values, find out the minimum. So the minimum will be the winner because this is the logical AND operator and we consider the minimum. So corresponding to this minimum mu value, so I will be getting some output for this fired rule. Next, you concentrate on the second fired rule corresponding to S1 star. So I'll be getting this mu corresponding to S2 star. So I'll be getting this mu. You compare these two mu values and I'll be getting the minimum. So this particular truncated triangle, the small thing, that will be the output of the second fired rule. Now, similarly, if there are more number of fired rules, so I'll be getting its corresponding output. Now I'll have to combine. Now to combine the output, we are going to use the concept of logical OR operation or some sort of union operation if you remember. Okay. So what I'm going to do is all the fired rules, the outputs of the fired rules. So we are going to superimpose. Okay, and we are going to use some sort of union operator. Okay, as if the concept is I've got a large rule base, either rule 1 is going to be fired or rule 2 is going to be fired or rule 3 is going to be fired. So there is one OR operator. So that particular OR is nothing but the union. And to mathematically implement that OR operator, so I'm going to superimpose all such truncated triangles and I'll be getting, this is nothing but the combined output. Okay. Now this particular combined output of the two fired rules is nothing but an area. So directly you cannot use this particular area and it cannot be the angle of valve opening. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to find out a crisp value corresponding to that particular the combined output, and how to find out the crisp output that I'm going to discuss in details after some time. Okay. Now, whatever I discussed here, same thing I've written it here. So please read out that PPT, you'll understand. Okay. Now you go for the deep hagification methods, like how to determine the crisp output corresponding to the rules, the fired rules. Now there are a few very popular methods. Out of all such methods, this center of sums method might be the oldest. Okay, and according to the center of sums, for each of the fired rules, we try to find out what is the area of that truncated triangle and what is the center of area. So let me go back to that particular figure once again. For example, say corresponding to the first fired rule, so I'll be getting this truncated triangle as the output. So we try to find out the area of this particular trapezoid. All of you know how to find out the area. Half into the sum of these two sides multiplied by height, that will be the area. And what will be the center of area? From symmetry, it is the midpoint, that will be the center of area. Similarly, for each of the fired rules, you try to find out the area and center of area. So A alpha j is nothing but the area and if j is nothing but the center of the area. Okay. So what you do is the crisp value is nothing but summation j equals to 1 to p A alpha j multiplied by fj divided by summation j equals to 1 to p A alpha j. So I'll be getting this particular the crisp output. Okay. Now remember the center of sums method. Actually, it is not a very accurate method. The reason is very simple. Like if you see this particular figure once again, for example, say, so here to find out the combined control action, the combined output, we consider this truncated triangle. We also consider so this particular truncated triangle. So one small area or one subregion that is considered twice. You can see that one small triangular area that is considered twice. Okay, and if it is considered twice or more than twice, what will happen? Unknowingly, I'm just going to inject some error in that particular the deep-heightification method. And moreover, so if I'm using some sort of membership function distribution like Gaussian or some sort of mathematical nonlinear curve, so it becomes very difficult to find out computationally the area under that particular the curve. And you know, we'll have to carry out integration to find out the area. And integration is computationally very expensive to computer programming. Okay, so unnecessarily your deep-heightification method will become very slow. Now let me do one thing. Let me stop today's lecture here, but I'll give you some time. If you have some doubt, okay, so I'll try my level best to clear your doubts. Now what you can do is you can ask me one at a time if you have any doubt, please.
Sir, in slide number 8, so how are you drawing the parallel lines on the triangles? So you're taking for A and A1, B1 and A2, B2 like separately.
You see, corresponding to S1 star, so I'll be getting the membership function value. Corresponding to S2 star, I'll be getting the membership function value. Now at this point, you draw a line parallel to x-axis, which is something like this. Okay, draw another line, which is something like this. Find out the minimum, and you consider the minimum because here there is AND operator. This is nothing but intersection. Okay, so out of these two, consider the minimum value for this particular mu, and corresponding to that, so this particular truncated triangle or trapezium will be the output for the first Payet rule. Am I clear?
Yes, sir. So when we are getting the final mu c, and so we have here three mu's like mu c1, mu c2, and mu c3, mu c. So on which one we are finding the?
No, mu c. What I've considered only two Payet rules. So mu c1 and mu c2. Okay, and mu c is I'm combining these two truncated triangles into one figure because my decision should be based on is a combined decision of all the Payet rules. Okay, so I'll have to combine all the truncated triangles. Now, if there are four such Payet rules, there will be four such truncated triangles, and you'll have to superimpose. I'll be solving one numerical example. You'll see that. In the next class, I'll be solving one numerical example to clear your doubt. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Next. Next. Next, Siladitya, do you want to ask me anything? Siladitya Bag, do you want to ask
actually,
me?
Sir, by mistake it happened. I did not do it intentionally, sir.
Okay, don't do. Please, don't do that. Next,
sir,
anybody else? Please.
Sir,
What's your name?
yeah. My name is Sebi. My name is Sebi.
Okay, tell me.
Here we are considering two rules, and we have got new A1, new B2, B1, new A2, and new B2. So with the first rule, we got new C1, and with the second rule, we got new C2. So why are we considering a parallel? I mean, a line parallel to y-axis? I mean, as we can see in the figure, you have drawn a line parallel to the y-axis.
See, I want to find out corresponding to this value of mu,
Mhm.
What does it cut on the output side? Corresponding to this particular mu, what does it cut here on the output side? Okay, now you'll have to consider the intersection, that is the minimum. So corresponding to this mu value on A1, this is the line, okay, corresponding to your this particular mu, this is the line. I'll have to consider the intersection, that is we have got the AND operator here.
That is between new A1 and new B1, no?
See, I'll compare mu A1 and mu B1, find out the minimum. Corresponding
Yes.
to that, you find out the output.
I
Similarly,
got
I'll
that.
be. Huh.
I got that, but my doubt is like why there is a dotted line between the rule 1 and
Dotted
rule
line
2.
is just to clearly explain to you. I've drawn this particular dotted line up to this. I've drawn this dotted line this. After that, I've extended because this is found to the minimum. This is drawn by me only.
I mean, between the rule 1 and rule 2, I mean, there is a dotted.
You try to find out the output separately for fired rule 1, fired rule 2. After that, you use the union. That is the OR operator to find out the combined.
Okay. I just got confused because of the line between rule 1 and rule 2.
Now is it clear?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Next.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
Sir, my name is Trailokya.
Tell me.
And sir, here the mu A1 and mu A2 and mu B1 and mu B2 indicates the rules, right? The
Not
rules.
rules. They are membership values. Rule is 1. This is a rule 1. If S1 is A1 and S2 is B1, then F prime is C1. This is a rule. Now in the rule, there are 2 inputs, 1 output. For S1, the membership function distribution is A1. For S2, the membership function distribution is B1. For output F prime, the membership function distribution is C1. This is the temperature, this is the humidity, this is the angle of valve opening for air conditioner. Okay?
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, I had doubt in the previous class.
Tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, in the numerical examples of the algebraic addition and the subtraction operation, if means the examples that we had considered were having both x1, x2, x3 were common to both the cases. If
common to both the cases
means
three elements.
Yes,
or
sir.
4 elements.
Yes, sir. The elements were same, right? In both the sets we had considered for these sets. But if the sets had been different, like x1, x2, x3, and then x2, x3, x4, then how addition?
You see, then no comparison can be made. Are you getting my point?
Yes,
see,
sir.
Element wise, I'll have to compare. So the number of elements we consider to represent that particular fuzzy set has to be made equal. These are all discrete fuzzy sets. So there is no problem in keeping the equal number of elements. And if you do not keep the equal number of elements, you cannot make comparison. For example, human can be compared with human. Human cannot be compared with anybody, any other living being. Okay. So the number of the elements to be kept to describe, okay, that particular fuzzy set has to be exactly equal. And there is no point in keeping the equal because this is discrete fuzzy set. Okay. You see, unless you keep the elements same, you cannot compare. Unless you compare, you can neither add nor subtract. Okay.
Yes, sir. But still we can take the intersection and take the union.
We can take the union intersection provided once again the number of elements are kept the same, because element wise we'll have to compare. Are you getting my point? If you remember. So
yes, sir.
if you keep the different number of elements belonging the same like universe of discourse, you cannot directly compare. See, day 1 of November and day 1 of your December okay, has to be
Yes, sir.
compared. If I want to make a comment that whether December first day was colder compared to the first day of November, okay?
Yes, sir. Sir, but two different triangles were combined together to form the like small triangle or to
See, the
form the.
ranges could be different, but the different range I can divide into equal parts, equal number of parts. For example, in one variable, range is say 1 to 10. Okay,
Yes, sir.
I can
Yes, sir.
divide into 4 equal parts. Another range is 50 to 500. Once again, I can divide into 4 equal parts. The
Yes, sir.
number of parts will be kept the same, although the ranges are different. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Numbers has to be same, but
Yes.
the range has to be different.
Ha, exactly.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, I had one final doubt, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when we consider the Cartesian multiplication, we obtain the result in the form of a matrix, right? A matrix representation. So will that be
Cartesian
considered?
product. Cartesian product.
Yes, sir. My mistake, sir. Cartesian
Ah.
product, sir. So we obtain the matrix representation. So that matrix representation will still be considered a fuzzy set, or
It is a result of that particular fuzzy set operations only. Cartesian product is, what is the physical meaning of Cartesian product? If I want to combine two such fuzzy sets and I'm going to represent what should be the output sort of thing, we take the help of this Cartesian products, okay, and
Sir.
this fuzzy relation and all such things. Okay,
yes,
those things are required if I want to establish the relation between your inputs and outputs. And as I told you, no, those are very frequently used in your MATLAB package because MATLAB knows only matrix operation. So you'll have to represent everything in the matrix form. Even the fuzzy set you can represent in matrix form. There is no problem. If you want to work on MATLAB toolbox, how to represent the fuzzy set? You'll have to give it the matrix form only. Other forms it will not take. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because MATLAB, you know, it does all matrix operations. So unless you give in matrix form, in fact, I tried to show you both. Unless you give in matrix form, like row and column wise information, your MATLAB package is not going to help you. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Next, please. What's your
Sir,
name?
my name is Shompad Laha.
Tell me.
Shompad Laha.
Tell me.
Yes, sir. So, could you please once explain the center of sums method?
Center of sums method, actually what you do is corresponding to the first fired rule. So this is the fuzzified output. I can find out the area of this fuzzified output. That is nothing but a trapezium. So all of us, we know how to find out the area of the trapezium, and its centroid from symmetry, it will be at the midpoint. So area multiplied by centroid, you sum all the fired rules, okay, divided by the area of the fired rules. That is nothing but is the crisp output, that is the center of sums method. I'll be solving numerical example in tomorrow's class. Okay, things will be made more clear. I'll be discussing one complete numerical example related to this method. Okay, in tomorrow's class.
Sir, I had another doubt. So, in the Mamdani approach, the block diagram that you showed, sir, there actually within the knowledge base, there is database as well as rule base. So here, what shall we consider as a database?
Database is actually this fuzzification module. This fuzzification is based on the database, that is the membership function distribution. So this is the database. Whatever is there in the fuzzification module, that is the database, and whatever is there in the rule base, so that is the rule base. So database and rule base, that is combined. Actually, we have got the knowledge base. Okay. In our brain, we have got the knowledge base. We have got a set of rules. Okay. We day-to-day life, as I told several times, in day-to-day life for taking decision, we never solve differential equation. Okay. we take the help of some rules which are stored in our knowledge base based on the experience which you have gained. That is the training process. Okay. And based on this particular rule, we take the decision. And on the other hand, if you solve differential equation and after that you want to take the decision, your car is going to collide with the obstacle before you solve the differential equation. So what we do is, based on our experience, we train, we design, we modify, we train our knowledge base, and based on that, we try to solve the problem. For example, you are asking me, okay, I'm going to give reply. I'm using my knowledge base. If I do not have sufficient knowledge in my knowledge base, I will not be able to give an answer to your query. Okay. I think I'm clear.
Sir, sir, in the last class, you said that in fuzzy, a particular member belongs to both the set as well as its complement.
Exactly.
Okay. So, sir, means that the membership value, if the element is having a membership value of say 0.6 in the set, then we can say that it is having a membership value of 0.4 in its complement.
Very good question. Very good question. So if it is linear distribution, for example, say, so you have got triangular membership function distribution. So it is guaranteed. It is guaranteed. Okay. So if it is 0.6, if it is triangular membership function distribution, do you remember triangular membership function?
Yes, sir, I remember.
So if you remember, say I've got say equilateral triangle.
Yes, sir.
Or a red color. So I've got a V-shaped curve, okay,
yes.
or not red. The moment you get the mu value is 0.6 for red, its corresponding mu value corresponding to not red will be 0.4. Please check it. Check it. You draw one equilateral triangle. Assign some numerical value. Consider the symmetry. Take x equals to 0.6. Okay. Find out your, you take a value in the range of x. Find out what is the mu corresponding to red and its complement not red. Okay. Definitely you will be getting the sum of two mu's will be equal to 1.0. Please check it. Okay.
And for other distribution, it might.
Other distribution, I am giving you the task. You do it and check. Particularly, you do it, you'll be getting your reply to this for sigmoid transfer function. You do it for your Gaussian distribution. I'm not going to give you a ready-made answer because the reason is very simple. If I give you the ready-made answer, you'll never try to draw the complement of a Gaussian. You please try. If you fail, definitely I'm going to help you. All of you, please try to draw complement of all the membership function distribution which I've discussed. Okay. And if I give you the ready-made answer, nobody will try, they will not understand it. Okay. You try, if you cannot, I'm there to help you. Please, all of you try to find out the complement of all the nonlinear distribution and linear distribution I discussed for the membership function distribution. You'll understand. Okay. First you try, if you fail, definitely I'm there to help you.
Okay, sir.
Next. Next. Anybody else? So we are going to meet.
Excuse me, sir.
Please.
Is Sumi there, sir? Sir, am I audible, sir?
Please. You are audible.
Sir, I have a doubt in the previous class lecture, sir. Sir, can we assign the maximum membership value less than 1, sir, for a given fuzzy set?
Yes, it is possible. That is called a subnormal fuzzy set. Okay. That is a very special case. Generally, we do not use, and that is used for a very special case to serve a very specific purpose. Okay.
But sir, most of
the time we use normal fuzzy set, having the maximum value of membership as 1.0. Subnormal membership function distribution we generally do not use, but if it is required for a very special case, okay, for example, there is too much fuzziness, you do not want to give membership 1.0 because there is enough fuzziness, no information is known to you, okay, there we
Yes.
do not want to give guarantee up to 1.0, okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, another two questions, sir. Sir, the next one is, sir, what is the significance of alpha cut of the fuzzy set, sir? Is there any importance in the fuzzy set?
Importance is there because alpha cut, if you try to find out, then we'll be able to find out the subset of a fuzzy set. Okay, you know the support of a fuzzy set, that is the total range, whole range. Okay,
Yes,
now depending on the value of alpha, whether alpha is 0.1, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, okay, I'll be able to find out the subset of a fuzzy set. Now it has got some importance because supposing that for some reason I want to concentrate on a very narrow subset of a fuzzy set. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then this particular concept is going to help you to concentrate only on that particular subset. Okay. For example, say I am checking each and more or less each and every point in a very discrete mode in the whole range. But supposing that so much discrete range is not important for us, okay, for getting the answer within a fraction of second, because we'll have to take the decision within a fraction of second. If
Yes,
you ask me after 10 minutes, if I give reply, who is going to listen to me? You tell me. Nobody is going to listen. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If you are asking me one question and if I say you wait for 5 minutes, let me think, and after that I'm going to give reply. Who is going to listen to me? You tell me. Okay, I'm
Yes, sir.
able
No
to
answer.
give almost at the same time because through a large amount of practice and hard work, I have developed my knowledge base. Okay, I know what is the subset where I have to concentrate to give reply to that particular query. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ah.
Sir, last one is that, sir, when we are considering that universal set of discourse, sir, in the fuzzy set, so means is it consisting only the element value or with membership value, sir? Both.
You see, the moment universe of discourse could be either for the crisp set or for the fuzzy set.
So for fuzzy set, sir.
You see, universe of discourse is there both for the crisp set as well as the fuzzy set. The moment you go for the fuzzy set, you cannot represent it without using the concept of membership. Okay, so membership has to be there. Okay.
So then, sir, can we say that for that, like whatever the universe set we are considering for fuzzy set, sir, can we tell that all the membership function value for each element in the universe set is equal to 1, or there is the variation from 0 to 1?
There is a variation, no? There is a variation. Because, see, the same thing, for example, see, now so many students are attending my class, okay? Out of a few, out of all the students, some of you will say, Professor DKP, Professor Pratyar is very good. Some will say he is not good at all. Some will say he is an excellent. Some will say he is very bad, extremely bad. Those are there. Variations has to be there because for all the real world things, your fuzziness has to be there. So I'm not going to mind like if you say that Professor Pratyar is very good or Professor is an excellent. Okay. So everything is acceptable to me. Okay. Because I know it is a fuzzy in nature. So I'm not worried about that. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So let me stop here today. So we are going to meet tomorrow. Okay.